The blue light from the laptop screen made Simone's hands shake as she scrolled through the folder she was never supposed to find. Her husband Derek's laptop sat open on his home office desk, password helpfully saved because he never imagined she would go looking. She had only wanted to find the insurance documents for their daughter's orthodontist appointment tomorrow. Instead, she found a folder labeled BB Private, buried 3 levels deep in his files. BB. Bethany Blake. Derek's assistant at Sterling Tech Solutions, the company Simone and Derek had built together from nothing over the past 12 years. The first few files were photos. Derek and Bethany at a hotel. Derek and Bethany at a restaurant Simone had wanted to try for months. Derek and Bethany in positions that made Simone's stomach turn. She clicked away quickly, not wanting to see more, but knowing she needed to see everything. Then she found the messages. 3 more weeks until the Morrison deal closes, Derek had written. Then we make the transfer and disappear. Mexico first, then wherever we want. You were right, she'll never see it coming. Too busy with her precious projects to notice. Bethany's response made Simone's blood run cold. I've already set up the offshore accounts. The moment that $8.7 million hits the company account, we move it. By the time anyone notices, we'll be gone. I almost feel bad for her. Almost. But she had her chance to pay attention to you. Now we get everything. Simone sat back in Derek's leather chair, the chair she had bought him 3 Christmases ago, and tried to breathe. The affair was devastating enough. But this was her entire life. Sterling Tech Solutions wasn't just Derek's company, it was hers. She had been the one to code the original software platform. She had been the one to pitch their first major client. She had worked 16-hour days while pregnant with their daughter Zoe, now 8 years old and asleep upstairs, completely unaware her father was planning to destroy everything. Her phone buzzed. A text from Derek. Running late. Don't wait up. Love you. Love you. The words felt like poison now. Simone kept reading, her heart breaking with each new message. They had been planning this for 8 months. 8 months of lies. 8 months of Derek kissing her goodbye each morning while plotting to steal everything they had built together. The messages laid it all out. Fake vendor accounts Derek had created, financial records Bethany had been carefully manipulating, a carefully timed plan to coincide with their biggest deal yet. Morrison Tech was acquiring their customer management software for $8.7 million, the deal that would finally make Sterling Tech Solutions a major player in the industry. It was supposed to be their breakthrough. Instead, Derek and Bethany were going to steal every penny and disappear, leaving Simone with nothing but debt and a daughter to raise alone. She found more files. Screenshots of beach houses in Mexico. Flight bookings. New identity documents. Derek had actually hired someone to create fake passports. The level of planning was staggering. This wasn't a spontaneous decision. This was calculated, deliberate, and cruel. The divorce papers are ready, Derek had written 2 days ago. I'll file right after we transfer the money. By the time she gets served, we'll be gone. My lawyer says she won't be able to touch anything because technically, the money was company funds that went missing due to a security breach. She'll probably lose the house trying to sort it out. But that's not our problem anymore. Bethany had replied with a laughing emoji. Poor Simone. Should have been more interesting. Simone closed the laptop carefully, her hands steadier now. The initial shock was wearing off, replaced by something else. Something cold and focused. She walked to the window of Derek's home office and looked out at the dark street. Their house in the suburbs was quiet, peaceful, the kind of neighborhood where everyone waved at each other and kids played in the yards. Normal. Safe. But there was nothing safe about what Derek and Bethany were planning. Simone pulled out her phone and opened a new note. She began typing everything she had seen, every detail she could remember. The dates. The account numbers. The messages. She took photos of the laptop screen, careful not to move anything that might alert Derek she had been there. 3 weeks. She had 3 weeks to figure out how to stop them. But how? If she confronted Derek, he would know she knew. He might accelerate his plans or hide the evidence better. If she went to the police now, would they even believe her? Derek was charming, well-connected in the business community. He could talk his way out of anything. And Bethany was smart. She had covered her tracks in the company's financial system. The fake vendor accounts looked legitimate at first glance. Simone needed help. Real help. Someone Derek wouldn't suspect. Someone who had as much to lose as she did. She opened her laptop and searched Bethany Blake married. The woman had her social media locked down, but Simone finally found a wedding announcement from 3 years ago in a local newspaper. Bethany Blake married Gabriel Torres in a small ceremony surrounded by family and friends. Gabriel Torres. Simone searched for him next. LinkedIn showed he was a forensic accountant, specializing in fraud detection for major corporations. He traveled frequently for work, which explained why Bethany had so much freedom to carry on her affair. A forensic accountant. Someone who specialized in exactly the kind of fraud Derek and Bethany were planning. Simone stared at Gabriel's professional photo on LinkedIn. He had kind eyes and a genuine smile. Did he know what his wife was doing? Was he in on it too? Or was he just as much a victim as Simone? She heard Derek's car pull into the driveway. Simone quickly closed her laptop and turned off the office light, slipping into the hallway. She made it to their bedroom just as she heard the front door open. Simone. Derek called out. Up here, she called back, keeping her voice steady. Just about to go to bed. She listened to him move through the house, the familiar sounds of him getting a drink from the kitchen, checking the locks on the doors. The same routine he had followed for 12 years. But now everything was different. Now she knew the truth. Derek came into their bedroom, smiling at her. Sorry I'm so late. Bethany and I were working on the Morrison presentation. This deal is going to change everything for us. Like they were still a team. Like he wasn't planning to destroy her in 3 weeks. That's great, Simone said, returning his smile. I'm so proud of what we've built. Derek kissed her forehead. Me too. We make a great team. Simone watched him head to the bathroom and she made a decision. She wasn't going to be a victim. She wasn't going to let Derek and Bethany steal her life's work. She wasn't going to let them get away with it. Tomorrow she would find Gabriel Torres. And together they would take down the 2 people who had betrayed them both. Simone barely slept. She lay next to Derek in the darkness, listening to him breathe, wondering how she had missed the signs. How long had he been planning this? When did he stop loving her? Or had he ever really loved her at all? At 5 in the morning she gave up on sleep. She slipped out of bed and went downstairs, making coffee in the quiet kitchen. Through the window she could see the sun starting to rise. A new day. The first day of her fight back. She opened her laptop and began to dig deeper. Gabriel Torres had a website for his consulting business, Torres Financial Forensics. His credentials were impressive. 15 years in accounting, specialized training in fraud detection, testimonials from major corporations praising his thorough investigations. His office was downtown, about 20 minutes from Sterling Tech Solutions. Simone clicked through to his personal information. He was originally from Texas, had a degree from University of Houston, and seemed to travel constantly for work. His social media showed airport photos and hotel rooms in different cities almost every week. That explained so much about why Bethany felt free to carry on her affair. Her husband was never home. But was Gabriel innocent in all this? Simone needed to be sure before she approached him. She spent the next hour searching for any connection between Gabriel and Derek, any business relationship that might suggest he was part of the plan. She found nothing. Their paths had never crossed professionally, and Derek had never mentioned him. Mom? Simone looked up to see Zoe standing in the doorway in her pajamas, her curly hair sticking up in all directions. Her daughter was beautiful, with Derek's dark eyes and Simone's high cheekbones. She was smart, curious, and completely innocent. Simone's heart ached at the thought of how this was going to affect her. Morning, baby. Want some breakfast? Zoe nodded and climbed onto a kitchen stool. Why are you up so early? Just had some work to do. How about pancakes? As Simone made breakfast, Derek came downstairs in his running gear. Morning, girls. I'm going to do a quick 5 miles before work. He kissed Zoe's head and gave Simone a quick hug. She forced herself not to stiffen at his touch. Have a good run. After he left, Simone got Zoe ready for school, went through the morning routine, and dropped her daughter at the elementary school. Then she sat in her car in the parking lot and pulled up Gabriel Torres's office number. Her hand hovered over the call button. What was she going to say? Hi, your wife is having an affair with my husband and they're planning to rob our company? It sounded crazy even in her head. No, she needed to do this in person. She needed to see his face when she told him. She needed to know if he was part of it or a victim like her. Simone drove to Gabriel's office building downtown. It was a modern glass structure, the kind of place that housed accountants and lawyers and consultants. Professional. Legitimate. She took the elevator to the 7th floor and found Torres Financial Forensics at the end of the hall. The reception area was small but well appointed. A young man at the desk looked up as she entered. Good morning. Do you have an appointment? No, Is Mr. Torres available? It's urgent. He's actually out of town until Thursday. Can someone else help you or would you like to schedule? Thursday is fine. Simone interrupted. Can I book an appointment for Thursday afternoon? The receptionist checked the computer. He has a slot at 2 o'clock. Perfect. Thank you. Simone gave her name and contact information, then left. Thursday. She had to wait 3 more days. 3 more days of pretending everything was fine while Derek and Bethany continued planning their betrayal. She went to Sterling Tech Solutions next. The office was in a converted warehouse in the tech district, open floor plan with exposed brick and high ceilings. Simone had designed the space herself 5 years ago when they finally had enough employees to need a real office instead of working from home. Derek was already there in the glass-walled conference room with Bethany. They were laughing about something, standing close together. Too close. Simone felt her stomach turn, but she kept her expression neutral as she walked past to her own office. She closed the door and sat at her desk, looking at the framed photo of her and Derek from their wedding day. They had been so young, so full of hope. She had believed they would build something amazing together. And they had. But now he wanted to tear it all down and leave her with nothing. Simone turned to her computer and began her own investigation. She had full access to the company's financial systems. Derek had never thought to restrict her. She pulled up the accounts and started looking for the irregularities Bethany had created. It took her 2 hours to find the first one. A vendor account for Nexus Solutions LLC that she didn't recognize. The invoices looked legitimate: technology services, consulting fees, the kind of expenses that were normal for a tech company. But when Simone dug deeper, she realized Nexus Solutions didn't exist. The business license was fake. The address was a mailbox rental. And every payment to Nexus Solutions had been approved by Derek. She found 4 more fake vendors over the next hour. Thousands of dollars funneled out of the company over the past 8 months, always in amounts small enough not to trigger any red flags. Together, they added up to almost $200,000. That money was gone, probably already in one of those offshore accounts Derek and Bethany had set up. But the big theft was still coming, the $8.7 million from the Morrison deal. Simone documented everything, taking screenshots and saving files to a secure cloud drive Derek didn't know about. She organized it carefully, building a case file like she imagined a detective would. Dates, amounts, evidence of the fake vendors, screenshots of Derek and Bethany's messages. A knock on her door made her jump. She quickly minimized her windows as Derek walked in. "Hey, wanted to check if you're free for lunch?" he asked, leaning against the doorframe with that smile that used to make her heart race. Now it just made her sick. "Can't today," Simone said. "I have a meeting with a potential client." "Anyone I know?" "Just a small startup. Probably won't amount to much, but worth exploring." Derek nodded. "Cool. I'll probably just grab something with Bethany then. We need to finalize the Morrison presentation." "Sounds good." After he left, Simone let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. 3 more days until she could talk to Gabriel. 3 more days of pretending. She could do this. She spent the rest of the day working on legitimate projects, keeping up appearances. At 5 o'clock, she packed up her laptop and headed home to pick up Zoe from after-school care. That night, Derek was attentive and affectionate, clearly trying to keep up his own appearance of being a good husband. They had dinner together as a family, helped Zoe with her homework, and watched a movie. Normal. Except nothing was normal anymore. After Zoe went to bed, Derek pulled Simone close on the couch. "I know I've been working a lot lately," he said. "But after this Morrison deal closes, things will settle down. Maybe we can take a vacation? Just the 2 of us." Simone looked at him, this man she had loved for 12 years, and wondered how he could lie so easily. "That sounds nice. You're the best, you know that?" Derek kissed her. "I'm lucky to have you." The words felt like knives. Simone excused herself and went upstairs, claiming exhaustion. She locked herself in the bathroom and finally let herself cry, quiet tears so Derek wouldn't hear. But when she looked at herself in the mirror, she wiped her tears away and straightened her shoulders. She wasn't going to fall apart. She was going to fight back. In 3 days she would meet Gabriel Torres. And together they were going to make sure Derek and Bethany paid for what they had done. The next 3 days crawled by. Simone continued her investigation, documenting every piece of evidence she could find. She copied files, saved messages, and built an ironclad case. She also consulted with a lawyer, not about divorce but about the fraud. She needed to know her legal options, what steps to take to protect herself and the company. Finally, Thursday arrived. Simone told Derek she had client meetings all afternoon and left the office early. She drove downtown, her heart pounding as she rode the elevator up to Gabriel Torres's office. The same receptionist greeted her. Miss Johnson? Mr. Torres is ready for you. Simone followed him down a short hallway to a corner office. And there, standing up from behind his desk to greet her, was Gabriel Torres. He was taller than she expected, with kind eyes exactly like his photo. He wore a button-down shirt and slacks, professional but approachable. When he shook her hand, his grip was firm and warm. Miss Johnson, please have a seat. What can I help you with today? Simone sat down, clutching her bag that contained printed copies of all the evidence. This was it. The moment everything would change. Mr. Torres, she began, her voice steady despite her racing heart, I'm here to talk to you about your wife Bethany, and my husband Derek, because they're planning to rob my company. And I think we should stop them together. Gabriel Torres stared at Simone for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he slowly sat back down in his chair. I'm sorry, what did you just say? Simone took a deep breath. She had rehearsed this moment 100 times in her head, but now that she was here, the words felt clumsy. Your wife Bethany works for my company, Sterling Tech Solutions. She's my husband Derek's assistant. They're having an affair, and they're planning to steal $8.7 million from our company and disappear. Gabriel's face went pale. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. Finally he said, That's quite an accusation. Do you have any proof? Simone pulled out her folder and placed it on his desk. I have everything. Messages. Financial records. Their entire plan. Gabriel didn't reach for the folder immediately. He looked at Simone, really looked at her, and she could see him trying to decide if she was telling the truth or if she was crazy. Why come to me? Because you're a forensic accountant. Because you specialize in catching fraud. And because... Simone's voice caught slightly, because they're betraying both of us. I thought you had a right to know. Gabriel picked up the folder with trembling hands. Simone watched his face as he read through the first page, screenshots of Derek and Bethany's messages. His jaw tightened. He flipped to the next page, then the next. The photos. The financial records. The evidence of fake vendor accounts. This can't be real, he whispered, but his voice lacked conviction. He kept reading, going through every page methodically. His training as an accountant showed, he absorbed the information quickly, making connections, seeing the pattern of fraud. When he finally looked up, his eyes were wet. How long have you known? Since Monday night. I found it by accident on Derek's laptop. Monday, Gabriel repeated. He laughed bitterly. I was in Chicago on Monday. For work. I'm always somewhere for work. He looked down at the papers again. She's been asking me to take more local clients. I thought she missed me. But she just wanted me out of the way. I'm sorry, Simone said quietly. Don't be. You're not the one who did this. Gabriel rubbed his face with his hands. Bethany and I, we haven't been great lately. She's been distant. Irritable. I thought it was stress from her job. I thought. He trailed off, then laughed again without humor. I'm an idiot. You're not. They're good liars. I had no idea either. Gabriel looked at the papers again, his professional mind taking over despite his emotional pain. These fake vendors. This is sophisticated fraud. And this plan to take the money from the Morrison deal. He looked up at Simone. When does that deal close? 2.5 weeks. And you think they'll try to transfer the money immediately? According to their messages, yes. They have offshore accounts set up. They're planning to move the money and disappear before anyone realizes what happened. Gabriel stood up and walked to his window, looking out at the city. Simone watched him process everything. She could see the accountant in him working through the details, the logistics, the implications. If you had just confronted them or gone to the police with this, they might have been able to cover their tracks, Gabriel said finally. The fake vendor stuff is traceable, but if they lawyer up fast enough, they could muddy the waters. Claim it was legitimate business expenses that were just poorly documented. The affair is not illegal. And the messages about stealing the money? A good lawyer might argue they were just fantasies, not actual plans. I know, Simone said. That's why I came to you. I need help catching them in the act. I need someone who understands financial fraud and can help me build an unbreakable case. Gabriel turned to face her. Why should I help you? I don't know you. For all I know, you could be trying to frame Bethany for something. Then look at the evidence with your professional eyes, Simone said calmly. You're an expert at this. You'll know if it's real or fabricated. Gabriel returned to his desk and went through the papers again, more slowly this time. Simone watched him work, saw the moment his professional assessment aligned with the emotional reality. This was real. His wife was betraying him. And she was committing serious fraud. Okay, he said finally. Assuming this is all real, and it looks real, what exactly are you proposing? We work together to catch them. We document everything they do between now and the money transfer. We make sure the evidence is so overwhelming that they can't talk their way out of it. And when they try to take the money, we make sure they get caught. And what do you want from me specifically? Your expertise. Your ability to track financial crimes. And Simone hesitated, someone I can trust. Someone who wants justice as much as I do. Gabriel sat back in his chair, studying her. You want revenge. I want to protect what's mine. There's a difference. Is there? Yes. Revenge would be going after them emotionally, making their lives miserable just because they hurt us. What I want is to make sure they face consequences for their crimes. To make sure they don't get away with stealing from me and lying to both of us. Gabriel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I need to think about this. How long? Give me tonight. Come back tomorrow, same time. Simone nodded and stood up. The folder is yours to keep. Look at it again tonight. Verify it however you need to. But please, don't confront Bethany yet. If she knows we know, they'll change their plans. I understand. Gabriel walked her to the door. Miss Johnson. Simone. If we do this together, it can't be about emotion. It has to be strategic. Professional. We have to be smarter than them. I know. That's exactly what I want. Gabriel nodded. Tomorrow. 2:00. Simone left his office and took the elevator down, her hands shaking now that the meeting was over. She had done it. She had told someone the truth. And Gabriel hadn't dismissed her as crazy or refused to help. He was considering it. She drove home, where Derek was already making dinner with Zoe's help. They were laughing about something, flour somehow all over both of them. The scene was so domestic, so normal, that Simone felt sick. There she is. Derek called out. We're making pizza from scratch. Zoe insisted. It's going to be the best pizza ever, Zoe declared seriously. Simone forced a smile. I'm sure it will be. Let me change and I'll help. That night, she played the role of happy wife and mother. She ate Derek's pizza, praised Zoe's homework, and watched television with her family. But inside, she was counting down the hours until she could meet with Gabriel again. The next afternoon, Simone returned to Gabriel's office at exactly 2:00. The receptionist waved her back and she found Gabriel waiting for her. This time he didn't look shocked or devastated. He looked focused. I verified everything, he said as soon as she sat down. I cross-checked the vendor accounts, traced the money flow, and confirmed the offshore account setup. It's all real. Bethany and your husband are planning to commit serious fraud. So you'll help me? Gabriel pulled out a legal pad covered in notes. I have conditions. First, this stays legal. We don't break any laws in catching them. Second, we document everything properly so it holds up in court. Third, we involve the proper authorities at the right time, not too early that we tip them off, not too late that they get away with it. Agreed. And fourth, Gabriel looked at her seriously. We stay professional. This can't become about our feelings, our hurt, our anger. We focus on stopping a crime. That's it. Simone nodded. Professional. Got it. Then I'm in. Gabriel extended his hand across the desk. Let's take them down. Simone shook his hand, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. She wasn't alone anymore. She had an ally. Someone smart, capable, and motivated. So where do we start? She asked. Gabriel flipped his legal pad to a fresh page. We start by building a timeline of everything they've done so far. Then we figure out their exact plan for the Morrison money. And then we set a trap they can't escape from. For the next 2 hours, Simone and Gabriel worked together, going through every piece of evidence, creating a detailed timeline of the fraud. Gabriel asked questions she hadn't thought of, spotted patterns she had missed. His professional expertise filled in the gaps in her understanding. They're good, Gabriel admitted. The fake vendors are well constructed. If you hadn't stumbled onto their messages, this might have worked. But we did find it. And now we're going to stop them. Gabriel looked at her with something like respect. You're handling this better than I expected. I've had a few more days to process it than you have. Still, most people would fall apart. I'll fall apart later, Simone said. After we've won. Gabriel smiled, the first real smile she had seen from him. I like the way you think. They agreed to meet again in 2 days, giving Gabriel time to set up monitoring on Bethany's accounts and giving Simone time to gather more evidence from the office. As Simone left, she felt something she hadn't felt since Monday night. Hope. She had a plan. She had help. And Derek and Bethany had no idea what was coming for them. Over the next week, Simone and Gabriel fell into a rhythm. They met every other day at his office, always careful to make sure they weren't seen together. Simone would bring new evidence from Sterling Tech Solutions, and Gabriel would analyze it with his forensic accounting expertise. "Look at this," Gabriel said during their third meeting, pointing to his computer screen. Bethany set up the offshore accounts using fake business identities. But she made a mistake here. She used an email address that can be traced back to her. And see this transaction? It's a test transfer. They moved $500 to make sure the route worked. Simone leaned over to see the screen. They were sitting close together in Gabriel's small office, and she caught the scent of his cologne, something clean and woodsy. She forced herself to focus on the financial records. "Can we track where that money came from?" "Already did. It came from one of the fake vendor accounts, specifically Nexus Solutions." Gabriel pulled up another screen. "I've been mapping out their entire financial network. They've been very careful, but there are threads we can pull." Simone watched him work, impressed by his skill and dedication. Despite his personal pain, and she knew he was hurting, saw it in the tight set of his jaw when he talked about Bethany, he remained professional and focused. "How are you doing?" she asked quietly. "Really?" Gabriel stopped typing and looked at her. "Honestly? Some moments I'm fine. I'm angry, which helps. But then I'll remember something, like how excited Bethany was when I proposed or how she laughed at my terrible jokes, and I wonder if any of it was real." "I know exactly what you mean. Derek and I have been together since college. 12 years. I keep thinking about all the moments we shared and wondering when he stopped loving me. Or if he ever did. At least you have Zoe. Something good came from your marriage." Simone smiled. "She's amazing. Smart, funny kind. I'm dreading having to explain all this to her eventually. Kids are resilient." "Were you and Bethany planning to have children?" Gabriel's expression darkened. "We tried for a year. Nothing happened. She said she wanted to wait, focus on her career. I agreed. I thought we had time." He laughed bitterly. "Turns out she was just buying time to plan her escape with your husband." They were both quiet for a moment, the weight of their parallel betrayals sitting heavy between them. "I'm glad I found you," Simone said. "I don't think I could do this alone." "You could. You're stronger than you think. But I'm glad you don't have to." Their eyes met and Simone felt something shift between them. Not attraction. Not yet, it was too soon, too complicated, but understanding. Recognition. They were two people who had been broken by the same kind of betrayal, and they were finding strength in each other. Gabriel broke eye contact first, turning back to his computer. "Let me show you something else I found." They worked for another 2 hours building their case file. Gabriel set up monitoring software on Bethany's computer, remotely, using techniques he swore were legal, that would track her activity without her knowing. He also accessed the offshore accounts and set up alerts for any new transactions. "The Morrison deal closes in 11 days, Simone said, checking her phone calendar. "We need to be ready." "We will be. I'm putting together a complete report of all the fraud, every fake vendor, every fraudulent transaction, everything. When we present this to the authorities, it will be airtight." "When do we involve them?" "Not until the last possible moment. We need to catch Derek and Bethany actually attempting to transfer the Morrison money. That's the crime that will put them away for a long time. The fake vendor stuff is serious, but the attempted theft of $8.7 million? That's major." Simone nodded. She had researched the legal implications. Wire fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. If convicted, Derek and Bethany could face decades in prison. "Have you told anyone else?" Gabriel asked. "Friends? Family? No. I don't want word getting back to Derek. He's connected, popular in the business community. If the wrong person slips up..." "Same here. Bethany's family lives across the country, so that's not an issue. But I haven't told anyone at work or any friends. This stays between us until it's done." That night, Simone went home to find Derek in an exceptionally good mood. He had brought home takeout from her favorite restaurant and had already helped Zoe with her homework. "What's the occasion?" Simone asked, trying to match his cheerful energy. "No occasion. Just wanted to do something nice for my favorite girls." Derek pulled her into a hug. "I know I've been distracted with work lately, but that's going to change soon. I promise." Simone forced herself to hug him back, even though her skin crawled at his touch. "That's good to hear." After dinner, Derek suggested they watch a movie together as a family. They cuddled on the couch, Zoe between them, and Derek kept his arm around Simone's shoulders. To anyone watching, they looked like the perfect family. But Simone's mind was racing. Was Derek being extra nice because he felt guilty? Or was this part of his plan? Keep her happy and unsuspecting until the moment he disappeared with all their money? Later, after Zoe was asleep, Derek tried to initiate intimacy. Simone made an excuse about a headache and saw disappointment flash across his face before he masked it with understanding. No problem. Get some rest. But as Simone lay in bed next to her husband, she realized this was becoming harder. The pretending. The lies. Every day felt like a performance and she was exhausted. The next morning, Simone got a text from Gabriel. Found something. Can you meet today? She told Derek she had a dentist appointment and drove to Gabriel's office. He looked like he hadn't slept much, his hair messy and his eyes tired, but there was excitement in his expression. I cracked the encryption on their messaging app, he said as soon as she walked in. They were using a supposedly secure platform, but I found a backdoor. Simone, I have all their messages now. Every single one. He showed her his screen, where thousands of messages were now visible. Simone started reading, her stomach churning with each new revelation. God, I can't wait to be done with this charade, Bethany had written last night. Playing the devoted wife is exhausting. Derek's response, same here. But it's almost over. Less than 2 weeks and we're free. Just keep smiling and acting normal. What about Gabriel? Think he suspects anything? Nah. He's oblivious. Too busy with work to notice what's happening in his own home. Perfect husband for a woman planning to disappear. Simone looked away from the screen, her chest tight. Gabriel's face was carefully neutral, but she could see the pain in his eyes. I'm sorry, she said. Don't be. This just proves we're doing the right thing. Gabriel scrolled through more messages. But look at this one from this morning. Simone read the new message. Derek had written, Simone was weird last night. Turned down sex. She never does that. Think she knows something? Bethany's response, she's probably just tired. You said she's been busy with new clients. Don't paranoid. We're too close to let anything mess this up. I need to be more careful, Simone said. Derek's getting suspicious. Act normal. Whatever that means for you. If he usually initiates and you usually say yes, then say yes. I know it's awful, but we can't let him get suspicious now. Simone felt sick at the thought, but she knew Gabriel was right. Okay. Gabriel pulled up another screen. I also traced their flight plans. They're flying to Cancun the day after the money transfer, using fake IDs. From there, they plan to go to Belize, where they have a house rented under false names. You found the house? Address, rental agreement, everything. They've been planning this for almost a year, Simone. Since before they even started the affair. The relationship was part of the plan. It made it easier for them to coordinate. That hurt more than Simone expected. The affair wasn't even real. It was just a tool to facilitate their theft. What else? She asked, her voice hollow. Gabriel hesitated. Are you sure you want to know? Some of this is personal. Tell me. He pulled up more messages. They were cruel, mocking comments about Simone and Gabriel. Jokes about how easy it was to deceive them. Plans for how Derek would serve Simone with divorce papers from Mexico, leaving her to deal with the financial ruin alone. They think we're idiots, Simone said flatly. Then let's prove them wrong. They spent the rest of the morning organizing all the new evidence. Gabriel created a secure drive where they stored everything. Messages, financial records, flight information, rental agreements. The case against Derek and Bethany was growing stronger by the day. 9 days, Gabriel said, looking at his calendar. 9 days until they try to take the money. 9 days until we destroy them, Simone replied. She meant it. Every ounce of love she had felt for Derek had curdled into cold determination. She was going to make sure he paid for what he had done. Not out of revenge, she kept telling herself it wasn't about revenge, but because it was right. Because he was a criminal and deserved to face justice. But late that night, alone in her bathroom while Derek slept, Simone finally admitted the truth to herself. It was at least a little bit about revenge. And she was okay with that. The surveillance phase began in earnest. Gabriel installed monitoring software on every device Bethany used, while Simone did the same with Derek's electronics. They tracked movements, recorded conversations, and documented every step of the planned theft. This feels like a spy movie, Simone said during one of their evening meetings. They had started meeting later after work hours to avoid suspicion. Gabriel's office building was mostly empty by 7 p.m., giving them privacy. Except in spy movies, the good guys usually aren't nursing broken hearts while catching criminals, Gabriel replied, not looking up from his computer screen. Simone studied him. Over the past week, she had come to appreciate Gabriel's dry sense of humor and his methodical approach to problem solving. He was different from Derek in almost every way, quieter, more thoughtful, less concerned with appearances. "How did you and Bethany meet?" she asked. Gabriel leaned back in his chair. "College. She was studying business, I was in accounting. We were in the same study group. She was beautiful, confident, ambitious. I was not. I couldn't believe she was interested in me. I'm sure you were more interesting than you think." "Maybe. Or maybe she saw a mark even back then." He shook his head. "Sorry, that's too cynical. I think she loved me once. Or at least I hope she did." "Derek and I met in college too," Simone said. "Computer science class. I was the only woman in a room full of guys, and Derek was the only one who treated me like an equal instead of an oddity. We started dating, built the company together, got married. I thought we were partners in every sense of the word." "When did you realize something was wrong?" "Honestly, I didn't. Not until I found those files. Looking back, there were signs. He was distant, always on his phone, working late. But I was busy too. I trusted him." Simone laughed bitterly. "I trusted him completely." Gabriel's phone buzzed. He checked it and frowned. Bethany just accessed one of the offshore accounts. "She's checking the balance." They both leaned over the computer to watch the activity log. Bethany was logged in for 3 minutes, checking account details, then logged out. "She's nervous," Gabriel observed. "Making sure everything is still set up correctly. 8 days to go. They're probably getting anxious." Gabriel pulled up Derek's activity on another screen. "Your husband was on the same account 20 minutes ago. They're not taking any chances." Simone watched the logs, seeing the digital footprints of her husband's betrayal. "Have you confronted Bethany at all?" "At home? No. We barely see each other anyway. I've been taking more out-of-town clients, telling her it's for a big project. Truth is, I can't stand being in the same house with her, knowing what I know." "I understand that feeling. What about you and Derek?" "I'm playing the perfect wife. It's exhausting." Simone rubbed her eyes. "Last night he wanted to talk about vacation plans for next summer. Acting like we have a future together. It won't be much longer." "I know. But sometimes I want to just scream at him, tell him I know everything. See the look on his face when he realizes I've known for weeks." "But you won't." "But I won't." Simone sighed. "Because we're being smart about this. Professional. Right?" Gabriel smiled slightly. "Right." They worked in companionable silence for a while, each absorbed in tracking different aspects of the fraud. Simone found herself noticing small things about Gabriel, the way he tapped his pen when he was thinking, the furrow that appeared between his eyebrows when he was concentrating, the fact that he drank his coffee black with no sugar. "Can I ask you something personal?" Gabriel said suddenly. "Sure. Do you think you'll ever trust anyone again? After this?" Simone considered the question. "I don't know. Right now it feels impossible. But I hope so. I don't want to become cynical and bitter." "Same here. Bethany was my first serious relationship. My only serious relationship, really. I don't know how to do this. Start over. We'll figure it out. After this is done." "After this is done," Gabriel repeated like a promise. Around 9 p.m. Simone's phone buzzed. A text from Derek. "Where are you? Zoe's asking for you." "I have to go," Simone said, grabbing her bag. "Same time Monday? I'll be here." As Simone drove home, she thought about the strange intimacy that was developing between her and Gabriel. They were sharing something intense and painful, bound together by their partner's betrayal. It wasn't romantic, they were both too raw, too hurt for that. But it was something. A connection. An understanding. At home, Derek was putting Zoe to bed. Simone took over, reading her daughter a story and tucking her in. "Mom?" Zoe said sleepily. "Are you and Dad okay?" Simone's heart clenched. "Of course, sweetie. Why would you ask that? You seem sad sometimes." "I'm not sad. Just tired from work. But everything's fine, I promise." It was a lie, but a necessary one. Soon enough, Zoe would have to know the truth. But not yet. Not until everything was resolved. The next few days blurred together. Simone and Gabriel continued their surveillance, documenting every detail of Derek and Bethany's plan. They discovered the exact time and method of the planned money transfer. Derek would initiate it from the office at midnight on the day the Morrison deal closed, with Bethany monitoring from home to make sure it went through smoothly. They chose midnight because no one will be at the office, Gabriel explained. The transfer will process overnight, and by morning when people start noticing something's wrong, they'll already be on a plane to Mexico. Except they won't be, Simone said. Because we're going to stop them. Gabriel looked at her seriously. We need to talk about what happens after. When they're arrested, when this becomes public. Your company will be in the news. There will be questions about how this happened, why you didn't catch it sooner. I know. I've been thinking about that too. I'm going to have to be transparent about everything, show that I was a victim too. The board will probably want answers. I'll give them answers. And I'll work twice as hard to rebuild any trust that's lost. Simone set her jaw. Sterling Tech Solutions is my company. What? Derek might have helped build it, but I'm the one who's going to save it. Gabriel nodded approvingly. That's the spirit. They continued refining their plan. They would alert the authorities the day before the transfer was supposed to happen, giving law enforcement time to set up their own surveillance. The FBI would need to be involved because of the interstate wire fraud and the offshore accounts. Gabriel had already been in contact with a federal agent he had worked with before, laying the groundwork without revealing too many specifics yet. Agent Morrison is good, Gabriel said. She's built her career on financial crimes. She'll take this seriously. Agent Morrison, Simone repeated. That's ironic. What? The deal that Derek's trying to steal from is the Morrison deal. Now Agent Morrison is going to catch him. Gabriel laughed, the first genuine laugh Simone had heard from him. I hadn't made that connection. The universe has a sense of humor. 5 days before the planned theft, something unexpected happened. Simone was working late at the office, making sure all the legitimate Morrison deal paperwork was in order, when Derek appeared in her doorway. Hey, he said. Can we talk? Simone's heart raced, but she kept her expression calm. Sure. What's up? Derek came in and closed the door behind him, which immediately set off alarm bells in Simone's mind. He sat down across from her desk and for a moment he just looked at her. I know I've been distant lately, he said finally, and I'm sorry. I want you to know that I love you. No matter what happens, remember that I love you. Simone felt cold. Was this his guilty conscience talking? Or was this his way of saying goodbye before he destroyed her life? I love you too, she said, because that's what he expected to hear. Derek stood up and kissed her forehead. Don't work too late. Come home soon. After he left, Simone immediately called Gabriel. Something's wrong. Derek just had a weird conversation with me. Weird how? She recounted the conversation. Gabriel was quiet for a moment. He's either feeling guilty or he's saying goodbye. Either way, it confirms they're really going through with this. I know. It just felt so final. 5 more days, Simone. We're almost there. 5 more days. Simone could do this. She had to. With 5 days until the Morrison money was scheduled to hit Sterling Tech Solutions' account, Gabriel and Simone intensified their surveillance. They had discovered that Derek and Bethany had been even more thorough in their planning than they initially realized. Look at this, Gabriel said, pulling up a document on his computer. They were in his office again, Chinese takeout containers scattered across his desk from another late-night working session. They've created a digital trail that would make it look like the company was hacked by an outside party. See these lines of code? That's a fake malware signature that Derek plans to plant in the system after the transfer. Simone leaned over to study the screen. So when the money goes missing, they want it to look like cybercriminals stole it, not them? Exactly. Derek would play the devastated CEO, file police reports, probably even file an insurance claim. Meanwhile, he and Bethany would be living on a beach in Belize. That's... Simone struggled to find the words. That's actually brilliant. And evil. It's both. If we hadn't found their messages, this might have actually worked. Gabriel scrolled through more files. They've thought of everything. Fake hacker profiles, a false IP trail that leads to Eastern Europe, even prepared statements about beefing up security after the breach. Simone sat back in her chair, feeling overwhelmed. How do we even fight this? They've covered every angle. We fight it by using their own plan against them. We let them think everything is going according to schedule. But on the night of the transfer, we'll be ready. The FBI will be monitoring everything. The moment Derek initiates that transfer, they'll have him. What about the fake malware? Won't that complicate things? Actually, it helps us. It shows premeditation. They didn't just steal money on impulse. They created an elaborate scheme to cover it up. That makes the charges even more serious. Simone nodded slowly. When do we contact Agent Morrison? Tomorrow. We've gathered enough evidence. It's time to bring in the feds. That night, lying in bed next to Derek while he slept, Simone thought about how surreal her life had become. For weeks ago, she had been blissfully unaware of what was happening. Now she was working with the FBI to catch her own husband. The next morning, Simone took a personal day from work, telling Derek she had a migraine. Instead, she met Gabriel at the FBI field office downtown. Agent Morrison was exactly what Simone expected. Mid-40s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. "Let me see what you've got," Agent Morrison said after brief introductions. For the next 2 hours, Gabriel presented their evidence. Every file, every message, every financial record. Agent Morrison listened intently, occasionally asking questions, taking notes on a legal pad. "This is impressive work," she said finally. "You two have built a stronger case than some of my own agents manage." "Will it hold up in court?" Simone asked. "Absolutely. We have clear evidence of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering. The fake vendor accounts alone would be enough to prosecute, but the planned theft of the Morrison money? That's the crown jewel." Agent Morrison looked at them both. "You understand that once we move on this, your lives are going to change. This will be public. There will be a trial. You'll both have to testify." "We understand," Gabriel said. "And you're both prepared for that?" Simone thought about Zoe, about having to explain to her 8-year-old daughter why Daddy was going to prison. About the news stories, the judgment from people who didn't know the full story. About rebuilding her life from the ruins of her marriage. "We're prepared," she said firmly. Agent Morrison nodded. "All right. Here's how this is going to work. We'll set up surveillance on both suspects starting tomorrow. On the night of the planned transfer, we'll have agents positioned at your office and at Bethany's home. The moment Derek initiates that transfer, we move in." "What about the offshore accounts?" Gabriel asked. "Will you be able to freeze those?" "We're coordinating with international authorities now. Those accounts will be locked down before Derek and Bethany even know what's happening." They spent another hour going over logistics and legal procedures. Simone signed a statement as a cooperating witness. Gabriel did the same. It was really happening. They were really doing this. As they left the FBI office, Simone felt shaky but determined. "No going back now," she said. "No going back," Gabriel agreed. "How are you feeling?" "Scared. Relieved. Angry. All of it at once." "Yeah. Same." They stood on the sidewalk outside the federal building, the city bustling around them. Simone realized how much time she had spent with Gabriel over the past few weeks. He had become her partner in this strange, painful chapter of her life. And somewhere along the way he had become something else too, a friend. Maybe more than a friend, though neither of them was ready to examine that yet. "Thank you," Simone said. "For believing me. For helping me. For everything." Gabriel gave her a small smile. "Thank you for trusting me with this. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come to my office that day. Probably just found out when they disappeared and spent the rest of my life wondering what I missed." "We saved each other," Simone said simply. "We did." The next 3 days were torture. Simone had to act normal around Derek, knowing that FBI agents were now surveilling their every move. She had to smile and laugh and pretend like nothing was wrong, all while counting down the hours until everything exploded. Derek was nervous too, though for different reasons. He was checking his phone constantly, having whispered conversations with Bethany that Simone pretended not to notice. The Morrison deal had officially closed, and the money was scheduled to hit Sterling Tech Solutions' account at noon on Friday. Derek planned to transfer it at midnight that night. 2 more days, Derek said Thursday evening over dinner. He was trying to sound casual, but Simone could hear the tension in his voice. 2 more days until this deal is completely finalized and we can celebrate. "I'm proud of us," Simone said, the lie tasting bitter. "We've worked so hard for this." "We have. And soon, everything is going to change. For the better." Zoe looked up from her spaghetti. "Are we going on vacation? You said we might go on vacation after the big deal." Derek's expression flickered for just a second. Guilt? Regret? Before he smiled at his daughter. "Sure, sweetheart. We'll go on a vacation real soon." Another lie. By Monday, Derek would be in federal custody, not on a beach in Mexico. That night, Simone couldn't sleep. She kept checking her phone, looking at the messages from Gabriel confirming that everything was in place. Agent Morrison had her team ready. They were monitoring Derek's computer remotely, watching Bethany's movements, tracking the offshore accounts. Tomorrow, Gabriel texted at 2 a.m. It's almost over. I can't believe this is really happening, Simone replied. You're stronger than you know. You're going to get through this. So are you. We both are. Together. Simone held her phone for a long time, staring at that last word. Together. It was nice having someone who understood what she was going through. Someone who was fighting the same battle. Friday arrived. The money from Morrison Tech hit Sterling Tech Solutions account at noon, exactly as scheduled. Simone watched Derek get the notification, saw his eyes light up with barely concealed excitement. It's done, he announced to the office. The deal is complete. Everyone cheered. Champagne appeared from somewhere. People toasted their success, congratulated Derek and Simone on their leadership. It was a celebration, but Simone felt like she was watching it from far away, disconnected from the joy around her. Bethany approached with 2 glasses of champagne. To the future, she said, handing one to Simone with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. To the future, Simone echoed, clinking glasses with the woman who was planning to ruin her life. At 5 p.m., Derek told everyone to go home early. We earned it, he said. Celebrate the weekend. We'll regroup Monday. When he and Bethany would be in Mexico, and Simone would be dealing with the aftermath of their theft. Except that's not what was going to happen. At 6 p.m., Simone left the office like normal. At 7 p.m., Gabriel texted her, everything's in place. FBI is in position. Derek just told Bethany he'll initiate the transfer at midnight. At 8 p.m., Simone put Zoe to bed early, claiming she wanted them both to get extra rest after the busy week. At 9 p.m., Derek said he needed to go back to the office to finish some paperwork. On a Friday night? Simone asked, playing her part. I know I'm sorry, but I want everything perfect for this deal. I'll be back in a few hours. Simone watched him drive away and then she called Gabriel. He just left for the office. Bethany is at home on her computer. Agent Morrison confirmed both locations are under surveillance. This is it then. This is it. Do you want me to come over? You shouldn't be alone when this happens. Simone thought about it. Yes, please. Gabriel arrived 30 minutes later. They sat in Simone's living room, both tense and quiet, watching the clock tick toward midnight. Agent Morrison had agreed to send updates via text so they would know what was happening in real time. At 11 p.m. a text came through, Suspect 1 Derek, at office computer. Setting up transfer. At 11:30 p.m., Suspect 2 Bethany, monitoring from home. They're in constant communication. At 11:45 p.m., transfer preparation complete. Waiting for initiation. Simone and Gabriel sat close together on the couch, both staring at their phones. The room was silent except for the ticking of the wall clock. 11:50 p.m. 11:55 p.m. 11:58 p.m. Midnight. The text came through at 12:02 a.m. Transfer initiated. Moving in now. Simone's hands shook as she read the words. Gabriel's phone buzzed with the same message. They looked at each other, the reality of what was happening finally sinking in. It's done, Gabriel said quietly. Before Simone could respond, her phone rang. It was Agent Morrison. Mrs. Johnson? We have your husband in custody. He initiated the transfer at 12:01 a.m. We arrested him immediately. He's being processed now at the federal building. Simone closed her eyes. And Bethany? Mrs. Torres was arrested simultaneously at her residence. They're both in custody and we've frozen all the offshore accounts. The money never left Sterling Tech Solutions. Thank you, Agent Morrison. You did good work. Both of you. Get some rest. We'll need formal statements tomorrow, but for tonight, it's over. After the call ended, Simone sat in silence. She should feel triumphant, she thought. Relieved. But instead she just felt empty. Are you okay? Gabriel asked. I don't know. I thought I'd feel different. Better maybe. But I just feel tired. That's normal. This has been exhausting. They sat together on the couch, not talking, just existing in the strange quiet aftermath of their plan coming to fruition. Upstairs, Zoe slept peacefully, unaware that her father was being booked on federal charges. What happens now? Simone asked finally. Now the legal process begins. They'll be arraigned probably Monday. Bail will be set, though given the flight risk, I doubt they'll get it. Then there's discovery, plea negotiations or trial preparation. This will take months, maybe over a year before it's fully resolved. And we have to testify. Yes, but we have each other for that. We'll get through it together. There was that word again. Together. Gabriel's phone buzzed. He checked it inside. Bethany's mother is calling me. Probably heard about the arrest already. Are you going to answer? Not tonight. Tomorrow I'll deal with the fallout. Tonight I just want to. He trailed off. To what? To sit here with someone who understands. Is that okay? Simone nodded. More than okay. They stayed on the couch until 3 a.m., sometimes talking, sometimes sitting in comfortable silence. Gabriel told her about his childhood in Houston, about how he had always been good with numbers but bad with people, about how meeting Bethany had felt like winning the lottery. Simone told him about building Sterling Tech Solutions, about the early days when she and Derek worked out of their apartment, about the pride she felt watching their company grow. It's still your company, Gabriel reminded her. Don't let this take that away from you. I won't. I'm going to fight to keep it. At 3:30 a.m., Gabriel left, promising to check in the next day. Simone locked the door behind him and went upstairs. She looked in on Zoe, who was sleeping peacefully, her stuffed bear tucked under her arm. Tomorrow Simone would have to start explaining. Not everything, Zoe was too young for all the details, but enough. Enough so that her daughter wouldn't be blindsided when kids at school started talking, when the news stories came out, when their lives changed forever. But tonight, Simone let her daughter sleep. The next morning, Zoe woke up cheerful and oblivious. Simone made pancakes and tried to act normal, but her mind was elsewhere. Derek's lawyer had called at 7 a.m. Derek wanted to talk to her. Simone had declined. She had nothing to say to him. At noon, Agent Morrison called again. Derek and Bethany are both refusing to cooperate. They're claiming they were going to give the money back, that it was just a test of the security system. Their lawyers are already working on a defense. Will that work? Not a chance. We have all their messages, all their planning documents, the fake identities, the offshore accounts. It's open and shut. But they're going to fight it anyway. Of course they are. After hanging up, Simone sat Zoe down for the conversation she'd been dreading. Sweetie, we need to talk about Daddy. Zoe looked up from her coloring book, her expression instantly worried. Is Daddy sick? No, baby. But Daddy did something wrong at work. He took money that wasn't his. And now he has to go away for a while to face the consequences. Zoe's eyes filled with tears. Where is he going? He's going to stay somewhere else while some very serious grown-up problems get sorted out. But you'll still be able to talk to him. And I'm going to be here with you the whole time. Did he steal? Like a robber? Simone chose her words carefully. He made a very bad choice and now he has to fix it. Zoe started crying, and Simone held her daughter while her own tears finally came. They cried together for a long time, mourning the family that had been broken by Derek's choices. The next few weeks were chaos. The arrest made local news, then national news. Tech CEO and assistant arrested for attempted $8.7 million theft read the headlines. Simone's phone rang constantly, reporters wanting comments, colleagues expressing shock, clients demanding reassurance. Simone held an emergency board meeting at Sterling Tech Solutions. She laid out everything, the affair, the fraud, the plan to steal the Morrison money. She showed them the evidence, explained how she had discovered it, and detailed the steps she had taken to protect the company. I understand if you want my resignation, she said at the end of her presentation. I didn't catch this as early as I should have. But I'm committed to rebuilding trust and moving this company forward. The board deliberated for 2 hours. When they called her back in, the chairman spoke. Simone, we don't want your resignation. We want you to stay on as CEO. You saved this company. What Derek did was not your fault, and your quick thinking and decisive action protected everyone here. We're behind you 100%. Simone felt tears of relief. Sterling Tech Solutions was still hers. Gabriel was dealing with his own fallout. Bethany's family was furious, accusing him of setting her up. Friends who didn't know the full story took sides. His business had a few awkward weeks where clients worried about the scandal, but his reputation as a thorough, ethical accountant ultimately protected him. Through it all, Simone and Gabriel remained in constant contact. They texted daily, met for coffee weekly, supported each other through the worst moments. When Simone had to face reporters, Gabriel was there. When Gabriel had to deal with Bethany's family, Simone was there. I don't know how I'd get through this without you, Simone told him one evening. They were at a quiet diner, both exhausted from another day of legal meetings and media attention. Same here. You've become. Gabriel paused, searching for the right word. Important to me. Simone felt something shift in her chest. You're important to me too. They looked at each other across the table, and Simone realized the connection between them had deepened beyond shared trauma. There was something genuine there, something that had grown slowly and carefully over the past weeks. But it was too soon. They both knew it. They were both too raw, too hurt, too focused on the legal battles ahead. "After this is over," Gabriel said, as if reading her mind, "when Derek and Bethany are sentenced and the trials are done, maybe then we can figure out what this is." "I'd like that," Simone said softly. The pretrial hearings began. Simone and Gabriel both testified before the grand jury, laying out the evidence. Derek and Bethany's lawyers tried to poke holes in their stories, but the evidence was overwhelming. Derek tried to reach out to Simone multiple times. Letters, messages through lawyers, even a phone call she refused to accept. He wanted to explain, to apologize, to ask for forgiveness. Simone had no interest in hearing it. Finally, 2 months after the arrest, Derek's lawyer approached her directly. "Derek wants you to know he's sorry," the lawyer said. "He knows he can't undo what he did, but he wants a chance to explain why." "I know why," Simone said coldly. "He wanted money and a new life with his mistress. There's nothing else to explain. He says he still loves you. Then he has a funny way of showing it. Tell Derek if he really wants to make this easier on everyone, he should plead guilty and spare us all a trial." But Derek wouldn't plead guilty. Neither would Bethany. They were going to force this to trial, dragging out the pain for everyone involved. Simone prepared herself for a long battle. She secured a good lawyer for the divorce proceedings that would run parallel to the criminal trial. She worked with a therapist to help Zoe process everything. She rebuilt Sterling Tech Solutions' client relationships and proved that the company was stronger than ever. And through it all, Gabriel was there. Not as a romantic partner, they were both clear about boundaries, but as a friend, an ally, a fellow survivor of the same betrayal. "We're going to win this," Gabriel told her the night before the trial was set to begin. "Derek and Bethany are going to pay for what they did." "I know," Simone said. "And then we get to move on with our lives." "Free," Gabriel added. "Free," Simone agreed. The word tasted like hope. 3 months before the arrest, when Simone and Gabriel were still in the thick of their surveillance operation, they had a close call that nearly derailed everything. Simone was leaving Gabriel's office building after one of their evening meetings when she saw Derek's car turning into the parking lot of the coffee shop across the street. Her heart nearly stopped. What was he doing here? Their neighborhood was on the other side of town. There was no reason for Derek to be in this area. She ducked back into the building lobby, pulling out her phone to warn Gabriel. But before she could type the message, she saw Derek get out of his car. He wasn't alone. Bethany was with him. They were meeting here in public, bold as anything. Simone watched through the window as they got coffee and sat at a table near the window. They weren't touching, but there was an intimacy to the way they leaned toward each other, the way they smiled. "Everything okay?" The building security guard looked concerned. "Fine, just thought I forgot something upstairs." Simone forced a smile and hurried back to the elevator. Gabriel was packing up his briefcase when she burst back into his office. "Derek's here. Across the street with Bethany." Gabriel went pale. "Did he see you?" "I don't think so. I came straight back here." They both went to Gabriel's window, which had a partial view of the coffee shop. Derek and Bethany were still there, deep in conversation. "What are they doing here?" Gabriel muttered. "This isn't their usual area." "I don't know. Unless..." Simone felt a chill. "Unless they followed me." "Why would they follow you?" "Maybe Derek's been suspicious. Maybe he noticed I've been going out more, being secretive about where I'm going." They watched for another 10 minutes. Derek and Bethany finished their coffees and left, driving away in separate cars. Simone and Gabriel waited another 30 minutes before Simone felt safe to leave. "This was too close," Gabriel said. "We need to be more careful." The next day, Simone decided to throw Derek off the scent. When she got home from work, she acted nervous and distracted. Derek noticed immediately. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Yeah, just, can we talk?" She led him to the living room, and his expression shifted to concern. "What's going on?" "I've been thinking about us," Simone said, hating how easy the lies came now. "About our marriage. And I think we need to see a marriage counselor." Derek blinked, clearly surprised. "A counselor? Why?" "Because I feel like you've been distant lately. We barely talk anymore. You're always working. I'm always working. I miss you." She reached for his hand. "I don't want us to drift apart." She saw the exact moment Derek relaxed. He had thought she was on to him, but instead she was worried about their relationship for completely innocent reasons. Oh, honey. Derek pulled her into a hug. I'm sorry. You're right. I have been distant. Work has been stressful with the Morrison deal, but that's no excuse. I don't think we need a counselor though. I promise to do better. Are you sure? Because I was actually going to schedule some appointments. I found a therapist who specializes in couples. I've been doing some research. She pulled out her phone and showed him a website she had pulled up earlier. See? I even looked at her availability. Derek looked at the website, and Simone could see him calculating. If she was making appointments with a marriage counselor, she clearly wasn't suspicious of his affair or his plans. She was just a concerned wife trying to save her marriage. You know what? Maybe it would be good to talk to someone, Derek said. After the Morrison deal closes. Things will be calmer then and we can focus on us. Simone nodded, knowing that after the Morrison deal closed, Derek would be in federal custody. Okay. After the deal closes. That night she texted Gabriel, crisis averted. He believes I'm just worried about our marriage. He thinks I'm clueless. Good thinking with the counselor angle. That was smart. I hate lying to him. He's lying to you. You're just protecting yourself. Simone knew Gabriel was right, but it still felt wrong. Every day she was becoming someone she didn't recognize. Someone who could lie smoothly, who could manipulate situations, who could smile at her husband while planning his arrest. Was this who she was now? Or was this just who she needed to be to survive? A week later, Gabriel had his own close call. Bethany came home early from work unexpectedly and almost caught him going through her laptop. What are you doing? She asked from the doorway. Gabriel closed the laptop quickly. I was looking for the password to our streaming account. Wanted to watch something while I worked. It's saved on my laptop? I thought you had written it down somewhere. Never mind, I'll just reset it. Bethany studied him suspiciously. You've been acting weird lately. Are you okay? Just stressed with work. Big client, lots of pressure. Is that why you've been taking more out-of-town jobs? Yeah. Sorry, I know it means I'm home less. Bethany's expression softened slightly. It's fine. I've been busy too. A pause then. I miss you though. The words felt like a slap. She missed him while planning to steal millions and disappear with another man? Gabriel wanted to scream at her, to tell her he knew everything. But instead he forced a smile. I miss you too. But this will all be over soon. Things will get back to normal. Another lie. Things would never be normal again. That night, Gabriel called Simone. She almost caught me. I was on her laptop and she came home early. Did she suspect anything? Maybe. She said I've been acting weird. I played it off as work stress. We need to be more careful. We're so close to the end. We can't slip up now. I know. It's just hard, Simone. Living with her, pretending everything is fine. Some days I want to just confront her, tell her I know everything. But you won't. But I won't, Gabriel agreed. Because we're doing this the right way. We're making sure they face real consequences. 2 weeks before the planned money transfer, Derek suddenly asked Simone about her recent meetings. You've been having a lot of late appointments lately, he said casually over breakfast. New clients. Simone's stomach tightened, but her face remained calm. Yeah, a few prospects. Most probably won't pan out, but you know how it is. Have to chase every lead. Where are these meetings? I never see them on your calendar. Usually coffee shops or their offices. Why? Just curious. You seem happier lately. More energized. I like seeing you like this. Simone studied her husband. Was he genuinely glad to see her happy? Or was he checking to make sure she wasn't on to him? I think it's because things are finally coming together, she said carefully. The Morrison deal, new potential clients, Zoe doing so well in school. Everything feels like it's falling into place. Derek smiled and kissed her forehead. It is. Everything is falling into place. Later that day, Simone told Gabriel about the conversation. He's getting paranoid, Gabriel said. Or maybe just feeling guilty. Either way, we need to lay low for the next 2 weeks. No more meetings in person unless absolutely necessary. We communicate only by text and only on the encrypted app one set up. What if he's tracking my phone? I checked. He's not. But I installed some additional security on both our phones just in case. If anyone tries to access them remotely, we'll know. The final 2 weeks before the arrest were the hardest. Simone and Gabriel couldn't meet in person, couldn't talk on the phone for more than brief, carefully worded conversations. They communicated mostly through encrypted texts, coordinating with Agent Morrison, making sure everything was in place for the night of the transfer. Simone found herself missing Gabriel more than she expected. Over the past 2 months, he had become her anchor, the one person who truly understood what she was going through. Not being able to see him, talk to him freely felt wrong. "I miss you," she texted one night after Derek had fallen asleep. "I miss you too. Soon this will be over and we won't have to hide anymore. I keep thinking about what comes after. When they're arrested and we don't have to pretend anymore." "Me too. I think about it a lot. And I think good things are waiting for us. Both of us. On the other side of this nightmare." Simone held her phone, staring at his words. Good things. She wanted to believe that. Needed to believe that. The night before the arrest, Simone couldn't sleep. She lay next to Derek in bed, knowing this was the last night they would spend under the same roof as a married couple. Tomorrow everything would change. Derek shifted in his sleep, reaching for her automatically. His arm draped over her waist, pulling her close the way he had done for 12 years. The gesture was so familiar, so practiced, that for just a moment, Simone forgot everything that had happened. For just a moment they were just Derek and Simone, the couple who had built a company together, who had a daughter together, who had once loved each other. But then she remembered the messages, the lies, the betrayal. And she remembered that tomorrow justice would finally be served. The night of the arrest replayed in Simone's mind constantly in the days that followed. She and Gabriel had watched the clock tick toward midnight, both knowing that across town, Derek was sitting at his office computer, about to commit a federal crime. Transfer initiated. Moving in now. Those words from Agent Morrison had been the end of one life and the beginning of another. Simone's old life, the one where she was married to Derek, where they ran Sterling Tech Solutions together, where she trusted him, had ended at 12:01 a.m. Her new life, uncertain and scary but free, had begun the moment FBI agents burst into Derek's office. The days immediately following the arrest were a blur of meetings, statements, and press conferences. Simone had to be strong for Zoe, who was devastated by her father's arrest. She had to be strong for Sterling Tech Solutions employees, who were shocked and worried about the company's future. She had to be strong for herself. Gabriel was her constant support. Even though they still met quietly, avoiding public attention, he was there whenever she needed him. He understood the unique pain of watching someone you loved be arrested, the strange mix of satisfaction and grief that came with seeing justice served. Derek's lawyer called again. Simone told Gabriel during one of their coffee meetings, now held at a small cafe far from anywhere they might be recognized. "They want me to make a statement supporting him. Say that I think he just made a mistake, that he deserves leniency." "What did you say?" "I said no. I'm not going to help him minimize what he did. He planned this for months. He was going to leave me with nothing. He doesn't get my support now." Gabriel nodded approvingly. "Good. Don't let them guilt you into anything. Bethany's lawyer tried the same thing with you, right?" "Yeah. Asked if I would testify as a character witness, talk about what a good wife she's been. I told them absolutely not." They sat in silence for a moment, both thinking about the upcoming trial. Derek and Bethany's lawyers were trying everything to avoid conviction, claiming they were going to give the money back, that it was a joke that went too far, that Simone and Gabriel were vindictive ex-spouses trying to frame them. None of it was working. The evidence was too clear, too overwhelming. "Agent Morrison called me this morning," Gabriel said. "The prosecution is feeling very confident. They think we have a strong case." "When does the trial start?" 3 weeks. "Are you ready?" Simone thought about it. Was she ready to sit in a courtroom and listen to all the details of Derek's betrayal? Was she ready to face him, to testify against him? "No," she admitted. "But I'll do it anyway." The weeks before the trial were difficult for Zoe. Kids at school had heard about her father's arrest. Their parents talked and kids repeated what they heard. Zoe came home crying more than once, saying that other kids were asking if her daddy was a criminal. "What do I tell them, Mom?" Zoe asked, tears streaming down her face. Simone held her daughter close. "You tell them that your daddy made some very bad choices, but that doesn't change who you are. You are smart and kind and wonderful, and what your daddy did doesn't change that. But kids say I'm bad too because my daddy is bad. Those kids are wrong. You are not responsible for your father's choices. And anyone who judges you for what he did isn't worth your time." It was hard watching Zoe struggle with something that wasn't her fault. Simone felt a fresh wave of anger at Derek every time she saw her daughter upset. He hadn't just betrayed Simone, he had hurt Zoe too. Sterling Tech Solutions was recovering, slowly but surely. Simone had been transparent with clients and partners about what happened. She had implemented new financial oversight procedures, hired an external auditor, and made it clear that the company was under new management, hers alone. Most clients stayed. A few left, uncomfortable with the scandal. But new clients came too, impressed by how Simone had handled the crisis. The company was going to survive. Simone was going to make sure of it. 3 days before the trial, Derek's lawyer made one last attempt to get Simone to help. "Derek wants to see you," the lawyer said over the phone. "Just once before the trial. He says he needs to talk to you." "I don't want to see him. Mrs. Johnson, please. He's facing serious prison time. The least you can do is hear what he has to say." "The least I can do?" Simone's voice went cold. "Your client tried to steal $8.7 million from the company I built. He was going to disappear and leave me to deal with the mess. He lied to me for months, had an affair with his assistant, and was ready to destroy my life. I don't owe him anything. He's still Zoe's father. Then he should have thought about Zoe before he decided to commit fraud. Tell Derek I'll see him in court. That's it." She hung up, shaking with anger. How dare they try to use Zoe to manipulate her? Gabriel came over that evening to help Simone prepare for her testimony. They sat at her dining room table with stacks of documents, going over every detail of what she would need to say. "They're going to try to rattle you," Gabriel warned. "Derek's lawyer will try to make you seem vindictive or bitter. Stay calm, stick to the facts." "I can do that." "I know you can. You're the strongest person I've met." Simone looked at him, really looked at him. Gabriel had become so important to her over these months. More than just an ally in their fight against Derek and Bethany, he had become her friend, her confidant, her rock. "I couldn't have done this without you," she said softly. "Yes, you could have. But I'm glad you didn't have to." The night before the trial, Simone barely slept. She kept running through her testimony in her mind, making sure she knew exactly what to say. Finally, at 3 a.m., she gave up on sleep and went downstairs to make coffee. Her phone buzzed with a text from Gabriel. "Can't sleep either?" "No. Too nervous." "Want company? I can come over." "At 3 a.m.? Won't that look suspicious?" "I don't care what it looks like anymore. You need support and I want to be there for you." 40 minutes later, Gabriel was sitting in her kitchen, both of them nursing cups of coffee while the rest of the world slept. "This is surreal," Simone said. "In a few hours, I'm going to walk into a courtroom and testify against my husband. My husband who I spent 12 years with, who I built a company with, who I thought I knew. He chose this path," Gabriel reminded her. "You're just making sure he faces the consequences." "I know, but it still feels strange." "How's Zoe handling everything?" "As well as can be expected. My mom is staying with us this week helping out. Zoe doesn't fully understand what's happening, which is probably for the best." "And you? How are you really doing?" Simone thought about the question. "Honestly, some days I'm angry. Some days I'm sad. Some days I'm just numb. But mostly I'm determined. Determined to get through this. Determined to rebuild my life. Determined to show Derek and Bethany that they didn't break me. They didn't break you. You're still here, still fighting. So are you." Gabriel smiled. "Yeah, we're both still standing." They talked until sunrise about everything and nothing. About the trial, about their hopes for the future, about what they would do when this was all finally over. It was easy being with Gabriel. He understood her in a way no one else could. As the sun came up, Gabriel stood to leave. "I should go. Let you get ready." "Gabriel?" Simone walked him to the door. "Thank you. For tonight. For everything. Always." He hesitated, then hugged her. It was the first time they had really hugged, and Simone was surprised by how right it felt. How safe she felt in his arms. "See you in court," Gabriel said as he pulled away. "See you in court." At 9 a.m., Simone walked into the federal courthouse. The building was imposing, all marble and columns and serious faces. Media trucks lined the street outside, reporters hoping for a comment. Simone ignored them, keeping her head high as she walked inside. Gabriel was already there, sitting with Agent Morrison and the prosecution team. He gave Simone an encouraging nod as she took her seat. Then Derek was brought in. Simone hadn't seen him since the night of his arrest. He looked thinner, older. Prison jumpsuit instead of his usual expensive suits. But his eyes were the same. He looked at her across the courtroom and she saw regret there. Maybe even love. But it was too late for any of that. Bethany was brought in next, also in prison jumpsuit, looking scared and small. She wouldn't look at Gabriel, keeping her eyes down. The judge entered and the trial began. The prosecution laid out their case methodically. The fake vendor accounts. The offshore accounts. The planned theft of the Morrison money. The flight reservations and fake identities. Every piece of evidence that Simone and Gabriel had gathered was presented to the jury, each document another nail in Derek and Bethany's coffin. When it was Simone's turn to testify, she walked to the stand with her head high. She placed her hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And then she told her story. She explained how she had discovered Derek's laptop open, how she had found the folder, how she had learned about the affair and the planned theft. She detailed every step of her investigation, every piece of evidence she had gathered. She described the pain of pretending everything was fine while knowing her husband was planning to destroy her. Derek's lawyer tried to make her seem vengeful during cross-examination. "Mrs. Johnson, isn't it true that you were angry when you discovered your husband's affair?" "Yes." "And you wanted to punish him for that?" "No. I wanted to prevent him from committing a crime." "But you must have felt betrayed, hurt, angry?" "Of course I did. But my feelings didn't change the facts. Derek was planning to steal $8.7 million. That's illegal, regardless of how I felt about his affair." "So you admit you were motivated by personal feelings?" "I was motivated by the desire to protect my company and my livelihood. If Derek had wanted a divorce, he could have asked for one. Instead, he chose to commit fraud." The lawyer tried several more times to rattle her, but Simone stayed calm and factual, just as Gabriel had coached her. She stuck to the evidence, never letting her emotions cloud her testimony. When Gabriel took the stand, he was equally composed. He explained his role as a forensic accountant, detailed his analysis of the fraud, and described the extensive planning Derek and Bethany had done. His testimony was technical but clear, laying out exactly how the crime was structured and how it would have succeeded if they hadn't intervened. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Expert witnesses testified about the offshore accounts. FBI agents explained the arrest. Financial analysts detailed the potential damage to Sterling Tech Solutions if the theft had succeeded. Derek and Bethany's defense was weak. They couldn't explain away the messages, the fake identities, the offshore accounts. Their lawyers tried to argue that they were fantasizing, not planning, that they never would have actually gone through with it. But the evidence said otherwise. On the final day of testimony, Derek took the stand. Simone watched as he tried to explain himself, to make the jury understand. "I made a terrible mistake," Derek said, his voice breaking. "I got caught up in something I couldn't control. Bethany and we got carried away with fantasies. But we never would have actually taken the money." "Then why set up offshore accounts?" the prosecutor asked. "Just exploring options." "And the fake identities?" "A joke. We were playing around." "And the midnight transfer of $8.7 million? Derek had no good answer for that. In his closing argument, the prosecutor was ruthless. Derek Johnson and Bethany Torres didn't make a mistake. They made a plan. A detailed, methodical, calculated plan to steal millions of dollars and disappear, leaving their spouses and their company to deal with the fallout. This wasn't a fantasy. This was a crime, stopped only by the vigilance of Mrs. Johnson and Mr. Torres. The evidence is overwhelming. The guilt is clear. The jury deliberated for less than a day. Guilty on all counts. Derek's face crumpled when he heard the verdict. Bethany started crying. But Simone felt only relief. It was over. They had won. Sentencing would come later, but both Derek and Bethany were facing significant prison time. 10 to 15 years at minimum, the prosecutor said. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Simone made a brief statement. "Justice was served today. I'm grateful to the FBI, the prosecution team, and everyone who helped ensure that these criminals faced consequences for their actions. Sterling Tech Solutions is moving forward, stronger than ever. Thank you." She refused to answer any questions about Derek personally, about their marriage, about her feelings. She had said everything she needed to say on the witness stand. Gabriel gave a similar statement, brief and professional. Then they left together, walking to his car while reporters shouted questions behind them. "We did it," Gabriel said once they were away from the courthouse. "We did," Simone agreed. "It's really over. The criminal case is over. Now comes the divorce, the civil suits, the aftermath." "I know. But the hard part is done. They're convicted. They're going to prison. Everything else is just paperwork." They drove in silence for a while. Finally, Gabriel said, "What now? For us, I mean." Simone had been thinking about that question for weeks. "Now we heal. We rebuild. We figure out who we are after all of this. Together? I'd like that. But slowly. No rush." "Slowly," Gabriel agreed. I can do slowly. They smiled at each other, and Simone felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope for the future. 6 months after Derek and Bethany were sentenced to 15 years in federal prison, Simone stood in the newly renovated Sterling Tech Solutions office and felt something like peace. The company had survived. More than survived, it was thriving. They had just landed 3 major new clients, hired a dozen new employees, and opened a second location in San Francisco. The scandal that had once threatened to destroy everything had become a story of resilience and triumph. Simone had been featured in several business magazines, telling her story of how she saved her company from internal theft. She had become an advocate for corporate oversight and fraud prevention, speaking at conferences and consulting with other companies about how to protect themselves. Sterling Tech Solutions was hers now, completely. The divorce had been finalized 3 months ago. Derek had tried to claim part of the company, but given that he had tried to steal from it, that argument didn't go far. Simone got the company, the house, and primary custody of Zoe. Derek got supervised visitation rights from prison and a mountain of debt from legal fees. Zoe was doing better. She visited her father once a month, awkward conversations through prison glass. The therapist said she was processing the situation well, all things considered. She was back to being her bright, curious self most days, though sometimes Simone caught her looking sad and knew she was thinking about the family they used to be. "Mom?" Zoe called from the other room. "Gabriel's here." Simone smiled. Gabriel had become a fixture in their lives over the past 6 months. After the trial ended, they had started dating. Slowly, carefully, both of them cautious after what they'd been through. But it felt right. Easy. Built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect that neither of them had experienced in their previous marriages. Gabriel walked into her office holding 2 cups of coffee. "Thought you might need to pick me up. I know you have that big presentation this afternoon. You're the best." Simone took the coffee and kissed him. "Where's Zoe?" "Video chatting with your mom. Something about a science project." They had fallen into a comfortable rhythm, Gabriel and Simone and Zoe. Not quite a family yet, but something close. Something with potential. "How was your meeting?" Simone asked. "Good. Landed that new client I was telling you about. Tech startup, lots of potential, need someone to make sure their finances are clean." Gabriel smiled. "Seems like I've built a reputation for catching fraud. I wonder why." They laughed together, and Simone marveled at how much her life had changed in less than a year. Last year at this time she had been married to Derek, oblivious to his plans, thinking her life was on track. Now she was divorced, running her company solo, dating someone new, and somehow happier than she'd been in years. "I got a letter from Derek," Simone said, pulling an envelope from her desk drawer. "His lawyer sent it. Derek wants to talk to Zoe more often, have longer visits. What do you think?" "I think Zoe gets to decide. She's old enough to have a say in how much contact she wants with him. If she wants to talk to him more, I won't stop her. But I'm also not going to force her." Gabriel nodded. "That's fair. He's still her father, even if he's a terrible husband." "Ex-husband," Simone corrected with a smile. "Right. Ex." They were both free now, truly free. The legal battles were over. The trials were done. Derek and Bethany were in prison and would be for years to come. Simone and Gabriel had given their statements, testified at sentencing, and walked away. Now they were building new lives. "Bethany's lawyer contacted me last week," Gabriel said. "She wants me to bring some of her things to the prison. Personal items, photos, that kind of thing." "Are you going to?" "I don't know. Part of me feels like I should. We were married for 3 years. But another part of me just wants to be done with her completely." "You don't owe her anything." "I know. But I also don't want to be cruel. She's facing 15 years in prison. That's a long time." "It's a long time she earned by trying to steal millions of dollars," Simone reminded him. "Don't let guilt make you do something you're not comfortable with." Gabriel squeezed her hand. "When did you get so wise?" "Around the time I had to hire my side chick's husband to take down my cheating husband and his mistress." They both laughed at the absurdity of that sentence, the strange, improbable way their paths had crossed. That evening, Simone and Gabriel took Zoe out for dinner to celebrate the company's new contract. Zoe chattered about school, about her friends, about the upcoming science fair. She seemed happy, adjusted. Normal. "Can Gabriel come to the science fair?" Zoe asked as they ate. "I want him to see my project." Simone and Gabriel exchanged glances. This was new territory, Zoe explicitly including Gabriel in family events. "Of course I'll come," Gabriel said. "If it's okay with your mom." "It's okay with me," Simone said softly. Zoe beamed. Good. Because my project is really cool and I want everyone to see it. Later, after Zoe was asleep and Gabriel was getting ready to leave, Simone walked him to the door. Thank you for tonight, she said. For being there for Zoe. For being there for me. Where else would I be? They kissed, slow and sweet, and Simone felt grateful for this second chance at happiness. She hadn't expected to find love again so soon or at all. But Gabriel was different from Derek in every way that mattered. He was honest, supportive, present. He didn't make promises he couldn't keep. He didn't hide who he was. I should go, Gabriel said reluctantly. But I'll see you tomorrow? Dinner at your place? It's a date. After he left, Simone checked on Zoe one more time, then went to her home office. On her desk was a photo of the Sterling Tech Solutions team, all 23 employees smiling in front of their office. Her team. Her company. Her achievement. Next to it was a newer photo, Simone, Gabriel, and Zoe at the beach last month. All three of them wind-blown and laughing, happy in a way that felt genuine and earned. 2 photos, 2 different chapters of her life. The second one was smaller, newer, more uncertain. But it was hers to build however she wanted. Simone's phone buzzed with a text from Gabriel. Thank you for giving me a reason to believe in happy endings. She smiled and typed back, thank you for being part of mine. 1 year after Derek's arrest, Sterling Tech Solutions held its annual company party. It had always been Derek's favorite event. A chance to show off, to celebrate their success, to play the role of successful CEO. This year, Simone hosted it alone. And it was perfect. Employees brought their families. There was food, music, and genuine laughter. Simone gave a speech about resilience and growth, about how the company had not just survived its crisis but emerged stronger. A year ago, I wasn't sure if Sterling Tech Solutions would survive, Simone told the gathered crowd. I wasn't sure if I would survive. But we did. We all did. And we did it together. Gabriel stood at the edge of the crowd, watching her with pride. Zoe was nearby, playing with the children of other employees. This was her family now, not the one she had been born into but the one she was building. After the party, Gabriel helped Simone clean up. They worked in comfortable silence, the way couples do when they've settled into each other's rhythms. I've been thinking, Gabriel said as they stacked chairs. About us. Yeah. We've been taking things slow. Which is good. We both needed that. But I feel like we're ready for the next step. Simone's heart raced. What step? Moving in together. Not right away. I know Zoe needs stability and we should probably wait until she's more comfortable with the idea. But maybe in a few months? Start looking at places, figure out what that would look like for us. Simone thought about it. A year ago, she had been married to Derek. 6 months ago, she had just started dating Gabriel. Now he was asking about moving in together. It should feel too fast. But it didn't. I'd like that, Simone said. In a few months when the time is right. Let's start looking. Gabriel smiled, relief evident on his face. Yeah. They kissed, surrounded by folded chairs and empty food containers, and Simone felt happy. Actually, genuinely happy. The road had been hard. The betrayal had been devastating. But she had survived it. She had fought back, taken control of her life, and built something new from the ruins of her old life. She had won. 2 years after Derek's arrest, Simone received a letter from him. She almost threw it away without reading it, but something made her open it. Simone, it began. I know I have no right to ask you to read this. I know I destroyed everything we built together. But I wanted you to know that I'm sorry. Truly deeply sorry. Not just sorry that I got caught, but sorry for every choice I made that hurt you and Zoe. Sorry for throwing away 12 good years for a fantasy that was never going to work. I was selfish and stupid and cruel. You deserved better. You deserved honesty and loyalty and respect. I'm paying for my crimes now and I deserve that too. But I wanted you to know that in here, with nothing but time to think, I've realized what I lost. I lost the best thing that ever happened to me. I hope you found happiness. I hope Zoe is doing well. I hope you've rebuilt Sterling Tech Solutions into everything we dreamed it could be. And I hope someday, maybe when I'm out of here, you might be able to forgive me. Not for my sake, but for yours. Because you deserve to move forward without carrying anger. Take care of yourself and our daughter. Derek. Simone read the letter twice, then folded it and put it in a drawer. She felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no satisfaction that he was sorry. Just nothing. She had moved on. She had healed. Derek's apology didn't change anything because she didn't need it anymore. That evening, Gabriel came over for dinner. He had officially moved in 3 months ago, and the house felt more like home now than it ever had with Derek. Gabriel's books mixed with hers on the shelves. His coffee mug had a permanent spot in the kitchen. His laugh filled the rooms. Derek sent a letter, Simone mentioned as they cooked together. An apology. How do you feel about that? Indifferent, honestly. He's sorry, which is good, I guess. But it doesn't change anything. Do you want to write back? No. That chapter is closed. I don't need to reopen it. Gabriel nodded, understanding without judgment. That was what Simone loved about him. He never pushed, never assumed he knew what she needed. He just listened and supported her choices. After dinner, the three of them, Simone, Gabriel, and Zoe, sat on the couch watching a movie. Zoe was tucked between them, content and happy. She called Gabriel by his name, not Dad, but there was affection there. Trust. Family in their own way. This was Simone's life now. Not the life she had planned, but a good life nonetheless. A life built on honesty and trust and hard-won wisdom. She had taken the worst thing that ever happened to her and turned it into a new beginning. She had refused to be a victim. She had fought back, taken control, and won. And now, finally, she was free to be happy. 3 years after Derek's arrest, Sterling Tech Solutions was featured on the cover of a major business magazine. Simone Johnson, the CEO who rebuilt an empire, the headline read. The article detailed the company's growth, Simone's leadership, and the scandal that had nearly destroyed everything. But mostly, it talked about resilience, about how one woman had refused to let betrayal define her. Gabriel framed the cover and hung it in Simone's office at home. I'm proud of you, he said, for everything you've accomplished. We accomplished, Simone corrected. I couldn't have done any of this without you. Maybe. But you would have found a way. You're the strongest person I know. That night, after Zoe was asleep, Gabriel surprised Simone with dinner on their back patio. He had set up candles, made her favorite meal, even bought flowers. What's the occasion? Simone asked, touched by the gesture. No occasion. Just wanted to do something nice for someone I love. Love. They had said it before, but it still made Simone's heart skip. I love you too, she said softly. Gabriel reached across the table and took her hand. Simone, I know we've both been through hell. I know we're both careful about jumping into things. But I also know that what we have is real. It's built on trust and respect and genuine affection. And I want to keep building it. With you. For as long as you'll have me. Is this? Gabriel smiled. Not a proposal. Not yet. Just a promise. A promise that I'm all in. That I'm committed to you and to Zoe and to this life we're building together. Simone felt tears in her eyes, but they were happy tears. I'm all in too. They sat under the stars, holding hands, talking about their future. About maybe getting married someday when they were both ready. About Gabriel officially adopting Zoe if that's what she wanted. About growing old together. It was everything Simone had thought she wanted with Derek, but real this time. Based on truth instead of lies. 5 years after Derek's arrest, Simone stood in front of the Stanford Graduate School of Business, preparing to give a lecture on business ethics and corporate fraud prevention. She told her story, the whole story, holding nothing back. The students listened, riveted, as she described discovering her husband's betrayal, making the decision to fight back, working with Gabriel to build their case, and ultimately bringing down Derek and Bethany. The lesson isn't just about catching fraud, Simone concluded. It's about resilience. About refusing to be a victim. About taking control of your own story. Derek tried to write my ending, left with nothing, destroyed, broken. But I wrote my own ending instead. And it's a happy one. After the lecture, students mobbed her with questions. One young woman raised her hand shyly. Miss Johnson, whatever happened with you and Gabriel Torres? The man who helped you catch your husband? Simone smiled. Gabriel and I have been married for 2 years now. He's here actually in the back row. She pointed to where Gabriel sat and he waved. The students burst into applause, clearly delighted by the happy ending. Because that's what Simone had found. A happy ending she had fought for, earned, and built with her own hands. That evening, Simone and Gabriel drove home together. Zoe was 13 now, growing into a confident, intelligent young woman. She still visited Derek occasionally, but her relationship with Gabriel was stronger. He was the one who helped with her homework, came to her soccer games, taught her to drive. That went well, Gabriel said, referring to the lecture. The students loved the ending, Simone said with a laugh. Us getting married. It is a pretty good ending. It's a good middle, Simone corrected. We're still writing the story. Gabriel took her hand. Then let's make sure the rest of it is just as good. They drove home together, Two people who had found each other in the worst circumstances and built something beautiful from the ashes of their previous lives. Simone had been betrayed, devastated, nearly destroyed. But she had survived. More than survived, she had thrived. She had taken her revenge not through violence or cruelty, but through justice. She had refused to be broken. And in the end, she had won everything that mattered. Her company, her dignity, her daughter's love, and a partner who valued honesty above all else. Derek was still in prison with 10 more years on his sentence. Bethany was in a different facility serving her time. Their lives had ended the night they were arrested. But Simone's life? Simone's life was just beginning. Standing in her home, surrounded by love and success and hard-won peace, Simone felt grateful for the journey that had brought her here. Even the painful parts. Especially the painful parts. Because those were the parts that had taught her who she really was. Strong. Resilient. Capable of surviving anything life threw at her. And that was worth more than any revenge could ever be.